Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts video. Today we are jumping to the state of Nevada where justice is served, and it's a dish best served cold, I guess. What effectively happened is two men were sentenced to prison time, federal prison, for defacing a 4,000-year-old indigenous petroglyph, which is depicted below here.
Good, good. Send them to prison. Give
And
them 20 years hard labor.
and as common as Justin's horrible cliche at the beginning of this was, equally uncommon to that is people actually getting punished for this sort of crime. So it's nice to see someone actually serve time for doing what these people did. Which what was that exactly?
So these two men in 2019 went to this petroglyph site, which for those who don't know, petro, rock, or yeah, rock, and then glyph design. It's rock carvings. They're fancy rock carvings.
It's rock art.
Yes. And what happened was these two gentlemen who were apparently fairly young at the time went and graffitied over the sites. One of them actually carved his name into the site, and the other they spray painted. Okay, they didn't actually carve; they spray painted.
No, they use spray paint, which, given the fact that these are ancient rock carvings, can be just as, if not more, damaging.
Yes, especially when it comes to removal techniques, because to remove the paint, you have to use an abrasive material. Rock carvings, they're not very deep carvings, as you can see pictured here. So it becomes a problem, and these are actually some pretty well-known and quite prominent rock carvings because they are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So the location, the information is recorded, people know about this, and it's listed to be protected.
Yeah, and one of the things too is a real shame is these rock carvings included some of the greats: Twisted Sister, AC/DC, Queen,
What?
rock.
Oh my god.
Hold on a second.
How did
Hold
that
on.
go over your
You got
head?
you got mad at
You
my
have.
cliche, but you just said that.
I did not get mad at your cliche. I mocked you for it, and now I'm going to mock you, Mr. Nine Guitar Man, for
Hey.
having rock and roll go over your head.
And for the record, my D&D character's name is Rock Child, and he's a bard, so you know it's all in theme.
Also plays a guitar.
Yes, but no, this is interesting because this is very rare in the case that a lot of times vandalism and defacing of protected resources like this very seldom goes punished because it's just very difficult to, one, prove, and two, to be caught in the act, because a lot of these places are super remote, so it's very hard to get to, and it violates the Archaeological Resource Protection Act, or ARPA, which us as archaeologists have to become very familiar with because we operate within the boundaries of this law.
So seeing somebody finally get their just desserts for being
Well,
Desecrating
rude
historical
people,
property.
bad people.
yeah,
This is bad. This is
but-
bad in a
uh,
sense.
given how hard this law is to enforce, it feels more like they're being punished for being stupid than they are for what they actually did.
I think they need to take a 20-year course related to our field, and they don't get to stop after 20 years. They have to pass an ethics test. They have to pass
No.
tests related to the field. I want them to make sure they never do it again.
Yeah, Aaron,
That's not going to make them never do it again. That's just going to make them into like the horrible
evil
stereotype
villain.
of archaeologists that most Native Americans see.
Which, circling back to that law, ARPA, that is actually the parameters in which every archaeologist operates under because there's permitting that's required. And that's one of the things that can separate an amateur versus professional. And the wonderful thing is it also works into protecting these sites. Because
I would say it more or less separates the archaeologists from the looters.
yeah, looting is another thing that can be punished. And again, circling back with how difficult it is to actually punish, the Bureau of Land Management, which is a federal agency, was the ones behind this prosecution or investigation, and both men are receiving jail time for their crimes against humanity. One was a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Pavon, who was sentenced to a year and 1 day in prison, and that was for his crime of spray painting a 20-foot long tag of his name, Kluwer, onto a rock panel. And another gentleman, Daniel Pallotta, who was sentenced to 4 months in prison and 8 months at in-home confinement, or house arrest.
House arrest.
Painting smaller tags of his name, Velor, throughout the site. So they tagged up the site, and they received a year and what?
They received a combined what would it be 24 months and 1 day worth of punishment for the two of them. That's combined. So
how are these people? They're I guess they're young.
I think
they must be old enough. They must be old enough to be able to actually serve jail time and not.
Yeah, they are clearly not minors. I mean, just to get out to this site, you probably wouldn't be a minor in order to do this. So they are both probably at least 18.
And they were slapped with felonies, which is another big thing. So they have that on their record. They have jail time. There's some pretty serious punishments that happen. And one of the things as archaeologists that we focus very heavily on and want to encourage is preservation of these sites. I mean, this one specifically is 4,000 years old. And
you know what stuff survives 4,000 years? Not much.
Hardly anything. I mean,
this is literally stones in a desert. That is what it took for this to exist for us.
We all think stone lasts forever. It don't.
And
especially stuff carved in it.
And I think just people in general are very selfish in their mentality and their thought process of, hey, I think this is cool, so I'm going to do this, not thinking about the past, how many people had come across this, or the future, how many people could learn from this or could view this, or how many people connect their heritage and their lineage to these ancient carvings.
Well, I think also true with this too, something to point out is in the statement from the U.S. Attorney for Nevada, he describes White River Narrows as a sacred site, not just a historical one, but a sacred site. So this is something holy. You wouldn't walk into the middle of a church and spray paint a pulpit.
I'm sure there's people who would, but it's something that is actively, strongly discouraged.
Yeah, but that's about the same thing that you did. You spray painted a 4,000-year-old pulpit. Congratulations, that these people literally tried to ruin history, and well, with a felony on their record, I'd say they've effectively ruined their lives.
Considering how many places, because they don't even check to see what you did. They just see felon on the record.
Yeah, you got that on your record.
It's felon on the record, and it's assumed that whatever you did, you were a serial killer.
And also, a lot of times, stuff like this comes with lifetime bans from national parks and national forests.
Yeah.
The national system, the National Park Service, the whole lot, they really do try to actively discourage this kind of stuff. And, it may not have the immediate consequences that you think of, but we actively discourage it. And I think that would be a good place for us to tie everything together. I think we talked a few good points. If you guys enjoyed watching today's episode, be sure to leave a like down below. If there's a topic you want to see us discuss, leave a comment. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, and hit that bell so you're notified every single time we upload. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.